The sleeping soldier * snow fell like ash on the frozen mountains of Korvax. The sky was gray, the winds howling. Arya pulled her long coat tighter and climbed over sharp rocks. Her breath steamed in the cold air, her hands shaking. She didn't stop. She couldn't. They had found him for 250 years. She had kept this secret buried in ice, deep inside the mountains. But now the Empire had returned. Their ships circled in the sky. The scanners would find the heat signal soon. Time was gone. She reached a tall rock wall, half covered in vines. Behind it, hidden beneath ancient tech and stone, was a door. She wiped snow from the old panel, fingers trembling. Symbols glowed weakly under her touch. "Come on," she whispered. "Please work." With a buzz, the metal shifted. The ground shook slightly as the old door opened with a deep groan. A blast of warm air spilled out. Inside the cave, a soft light glowed from smooth metal walls, still powered after all these years. Arya stepped inside, her boots echoing softly. Her breath caught in her throat. There he was. The human warrior lay inside a large stasis pod, sealed in time. His body had not aged. His armor, though dusty and old, still looked powerful. Strange symbols pulsed across his chestplate. His hands were crossed over his chest as if sleeping. "Cade," she said softly. Stepping closer, her hand brushed the pod's surface. His face looked peaceful. Strong jaw, sharp cheekbones, and a scar running down his temple. "You don't know what the galaxy became without you," she whispered. "But I remember." Flashback, her mind pulled back 250 years. Cade had saved her during the final days of the human Dravari War. He was a soldier from Earth, sent to defend the innocent across the stars. The Dravari Empire feared him, called him a ghost, a destroyer. But to her, he had been kind, brave, willing to give his life to protect others. When the final battle ended and Earth's fleet was destroyed, the Empire hunted every surviving human. Arya had gone against her people and hid him here, freezing him to keep him alive while the galaxy forgot him. Until now. She placed her palm against the release panel. Lights blinked red. A warning flashed in the air. "System damage." The voice said, "Stasis decay manual override required." Arya's heart pounded. "Then we do it the hard way." She knelt and pulled off the bottom panel of the pod. Wires, ice crystals, and metal parts filled the space. She pulled out a tool from her belt and worked quickly. Outside, thunder echoed, not thunder cannons. Enemy dropships were landing on the mountain. "Hurry," she said to herself, sweat forming on her forehead despite the cold. Suddenly, the lights inside the pod flickered. The hum grew louder. The glass cracked slightly, then hissed as it began to open. Arya stepped back. Steam poured out. The pod's inner chamber lit up bright blue. Cade's fingers twitched. His chest moved slowly. He gasped like a man waking from a nightmare. His eyes opened. They were piercing blue, confused, wild. He sat up fast, coughing. His body shook, muscles stiff. Where am I?" "You're safe," Arya said gently, stepping forward. "You've been asleep for a long time, Cade." He looked at her, blinking. "Arya?" "Yes," she said, voice breaking. "It's me. I came back for you." He looked around the strange cave, breathing heavily. "How long?" 250 years, Cade tried to stand. His legs failed him. He dropped to one knee. Arya caught him, holding him steady. "What happened? Why am I still alive?" "Because I hid you," she said. "Because if they found you, they would have torn your body apart just to see what made you strong. You scared them, Cade. You still do." Alarms blared from her wrist device. "They found the heat signature. They're here." Cade looked up. Still dazed. "Who?" "Empire soldiers," Arya said, helping him walk. "They never stopped hunting humans, they just waited. But now they're back." Cade looked down at himself. His armor flickered weakly. He reached for the sword at his side. It was still there, cold but humming faintly. I don't remember everything, he said, but I remember war. Arya turned, guiding him toward the back of the cave. A tunnel opened beyond a secret. Exit into the old rebel catacombs. You'll remember more soon, she said. But first we have to run, then we fight. A loud crash echoed through the mountain. The ceiling shook, footsteps, shouts. They were inside the cave. Arya pulled Cade into the tunnel. The tunnel was narrow, carved through ancient rock, dim. Emergency lights flickered as Arya helped Cade walk, his weight pressing on her shoulder. Behind them, the cave shook with distant blasts. The Empire was coming fast. Cade's breathing was rough. His muscles burned from the cold, from the long sleep. But something deeper troubled him. His memories were fragments. Voices, battles, fire. A woman's scream he couldn't place. How much time did you say? He asked again, his voice rasping like old metal. 250 years, Arya said without slowing. You were lost, buried in history. Most believe you never existed. That's a long time to forget a man, he muttered, coughing hard. Or to remember one. She stopped briefly at a sealed hatch. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. I didn't forget you. I kept your name alive. In whispers, in stories, in warnings, the hatch slid open. Beyond it lay a small bunker once part of an old rebel base. Dust covered the consoles. Broken helmets and empty ration packs littered the floor. Time had touched everything here, except him. Cade stumbled toward a broken chair and dropped into it. Gasping, Arya knelt in front of him, placing a canister in his hand. Nutrient gel. It'll help, he drank. The taste was foul, but energy slowly returned to his limbs. I saw the sky, he said. Those weren't rebel ships. No. They're the Empire's new shock troops bred to hunt, fast, unfeeling. They'll tear through these mountains like fire. He looked at her. Why now? Why after all this time? She hesitated. Because someone leaked your location. Maybe a scavenger got lucky with a scanner. Maybe a traitor told them. But it doesn't matter. They know. You're awake. And that changes everything. Cade stared down at his armored hand. The technology looked ancient, but it pulsed gently with power, reacting to him. I feel strange, like my body's heavier, faster, different. Your armor adapted to the time inside the pod. It evolved while you slept. You're stronger than before, she said, Cade's brow furrowed. Stronger doesn't mean ready. You don't have a choice, she said softly. He looked away, jaw tight. I'm not a hero, not anymore. I wasn't even one back then. You were the last human the Empire feared. You made them pause. That alone makes you dangerous. He frowned. And what are you now, Arya? You look like someone who's been hiding too. Her eyes flickered. I did what I had to. I lost friends, my family. They branded me a traitor for protecting you. I've been hunted for years. You should have let me die, he said bitterly. No, she snapped. Because even now, they fear your return. That means you still matter. Silence fell. The air was tense. Then bang. A sharp sound echoed through the metal walls. Cade and Arya turned fast. A panel in the far corner shifted. A small figure crawled through. A child, no older than 10. Pale skin, silver hair, strange violet eyes. Arya! The child cried, running to her. Cade blinked. Who? This is Luma, Arya said quickly. She's part of the reason. I came back. The child stared at Cade with awe. Is that him? The warrior in the stories? Cade narrowed his eyes. What stories? Arya sighed. She's part of a rebel splinter group. Raised on the myths about you. I'm no myth. He muttered. But you were to us, Luma said, stepping forward. They said you slept under ice and would wake when the galaxy needed hope again. Cade laughed dryly. Then the galaxy is desperate. You have to see something, Arya said suddenly. She walked to a console and placed a small chip into it. Flickering hologram appeared dotted, showed a map planets marked in red. Systems burning. Civilizations gone silent. The Empire was spreading fast, faster than before. Cade stood slowly. That wasn't how it looked when I fell asleep. They've grown. Smarter, crueler, Arya said, but they still fear humans. Because no one ever fought like your kind. He stared at the hologram. His face hardened. What do they call me now? He asked. Arya answered with a heavy voice. The sleeping soldier, the one who vanished. The one who might return. Cade picked up his sword. It glowed faintly in his grip. Then maybe it's time to remind them. Suddenly, the lights went red. The bunker vibrated. They're here. Luma shouted. They're breaching the tunnels. Arya moved fast, handing Cade a small device. We fall back through the old escape route. There's a rover hidden there. But we have to move now. They ran down a narrow hall, boots pounding. Smoke drifted from the far wall. Behind them, metallic voices echoed. Scan complete. Target confirmed. Human detected. The underground tunnel twisted like a metal snake, dipping into old corridors carved during the rebellion's last stand. Rusted pipes hissed. Faded banners hung from cracked walls, symbols of long-dead resistance groups. Cade moved faster now, his strength returning, but with every step, memories clawed their way back. Bits of fire, screaming allies, the sound of a commander calling for retreat. And one final image, Arya's hand on the control panel as she sealed him inside the stasis pod. Cade clenched his jaw. Why are we running? He asked, voice low. Because if we don't, you'll be nothing more than a corpse in a museum. Arya said, scanning ahead with a hand torch. Luma walked between them, eyes wide. This place is scary. It should be, Cade said. A lot of people died down here, fighting. They reached a broken metal bridge, barely holding together. Beneath it was a dark pit with jagged machinery. Careful, Arya warned. One wrong step and it's over. Cade crossed first, helping Luma as she wobbled across. When Arya followed, a loud crack rang out. The bridge shifted violently. A support beam snapped. Cade reached out just in time, grabbing Arya's wrist and pulling her over. She gasped, staring into his eyes. You shouldn't have been able to do that, your strength. Cade didn't answer. He turned away. I was trained to do the impossible. That's what made me dangerous. But your body was asleep for 2 centuries, she said. Something's changed in you. They continued down the tunnel. Soon, the path opened into an old command chamber, dust covering consoles. Shattered holoscreens sparking quietly. Arya knelt beside a terminal and inserted a chip. The screen buzzed, showing an old symbol, Project Vigilance. What's that? Cade asked. Something the galaxy buried and hoped would never be found again, she replied. The file loaded. Cade's eyes narrowed as he saw his own image flashing. Read across a wanted list. Beside it, status, classified weapon. Last seen, year 777 Galactic Standard. They didn't just hunt humans, Arya said. They marked you as an unstable threat. Not a person, a weapon, Cade stared. They erased my existence. No, Arya said. They rewrote it. Luma tapped the console. A small drawer slid open with a click. Inside was a data cube and a folded cloth. She handed the cloth to Cade. He opened it. Inside was a strip of faded red fabric. Bloodstained. His expression shifted. This was from my old squad. Bravo 9. We died on that ridge, fighting off an entire fleet. I thought I was the only survivor. You were, Arya said, but not the only one remembered. Cade looked at her, eyes full of confusion. Why did you really save me, Arya? Why risk everything for me? Arya hesitated. Because you didn't treat me like the rest did. You fought for people who weren't even yours. When the others gave up, you stayed. You could have let my world burn, but you didn't. Cade looked down. His hands slowly tightened around the blood-stained cloth. That world died anyway. No, she whispered. You lit a fire in people. Even if they lost, they remembered. They passed your story down. A distant sound broke the moment. Whirring metal footsteps. Cade dropped the cloth, eyes sharp. They're in the tunnels. Suddenly crash. The far wall exploded, dust and debris flying. Through the smoke came a terrifying machine tall, armored in black plating, with glowing red eyes. A reaver. It's a hunter class, Arya said. They use heat signatures and heartbeat tracking. You can't outrun it for long. Then we don't run, Cade said, stepping in front of her. But you don't even have. Cade pulled the ancient sword from his back. The metal hummed, its edges crackling faintly with blue energy. The reaver scanned him, then froze. It tilted its head. Target match. Human origin confirmed. Era combat profile outdated. Recalculating. It stepped forward, blades emerging from its arms. Cade narrowed his eyes. Let's see how well they built you. He charged fast, brutal. The reaver swung, but he slid under it and sliced upward. Sparks flew. The machine staggered, then adapted quickly, striking again. The chamber shook with every hit. Luma and Arya ducked behind old crates. Arya watched, wide-eyed. He's not. Just stronger. He's faster than before. Is he going to win? Luma asked. I don't know, Arya whispered. But I've never seen anyone move like that. Cade leapt, sword piercing through the reaver's chest. With a final burst of energy, he tore the core free. The machine collapsed in smoke. He stood over it, breathing hard. The blue light on his sword faded. He turned slowly, sweat dripping from his brow. They sent one. That means more are coming. We need to get to the rebel camp, Arya said. They have tech, transport, and answers. Fine, Cade replied. But from now on, we stop running. Luma stood frozen, her small hand clenching the edge of her coat. Cade stared at her, stunned. Smoke still drifted from the destroyed reaver behind him. What do you mean, they know who you really are? He asked, voice low but sharp. Luma didn't answer right away. Her violet eyes flicked to Arya, silently asking for permission. Arya nodded slowly. Tell him. Luma took a breath. I was born in hiding, inside the rebellion's last moon station. My mother was one of the original resistance leaders. But she died protecting me. Cade crossed his arms. That doesn't explain why the reaver was tracking you. Luma looked down. Because I'm not just part of the rebellion. I was made to carry something special, a genetic key. Cade's eyes narrowed. A key to what? Arya spoke. To the last working weapon vault of the human fleet. Your people's final war, tech sealed before Earth fell. The Empire has been searching for it ever since. They believe if they get to it, Luma added, they can wipe out every surviving rebel planet in one shot. Cade stepped back. Stunned. You're telling me this child holds the key to unlocking Earth's deadliest tech? She doesn't just hold it, Arya said quietly. She is the key. Luma touched her chest. It's inside my DNA, encoded. My body is the map and the password. Cade stared at her for a long moment. You should have told me. We didn't have time, Arya said. And we didn't know if you'd wake up the same man. Cade turned away, pacing the dusty floor. If the Empire gets her, it's over. That's why I need you, Arya said. Not to fight a war, but to protect her. Help her reach the vault before they do. I'm not a guardian, Cade muttered. I was a soldier. I don't know how to raise a child. You don't have to raise her, Arya said. Just Keep her alive long enough to change everything. A sharp alarm blared from the console motion detected, multiple heat signatures closing in. Cade moved to the shattered door. We have 5 minutes at most. Pack what you can. Luma ran too. Grab her satchel. Arya pulled out a small spherical device and threw it on the floor. It unfolded into a floating scout drone. Blinking red and scanning the corridor, they exited the bunker and entered an old mag train tunnel, long abandoned. Rust coated the rails and broken carts leaned on their sides. The air was damp, heavy, with old dust. We'll take the service cart to the surface, Arya said. It's risky, but faster than walking. Cade helped Luma into the cart while Arya powered it up. The engine coughed but roared to life with a low hum dot as they sped through the tunnel. The lights around them flickered. Cade stayed alert, sword across his lap. Tell me more about the vault, he said. It's called Fort Helix, Arya replied. It's buried beneath the old lunar defense station. Last anyone checked, it's still locked tight. And the only thing that can open it is her, he said, glancing at Luma. She nodded slowly. They used human rebel DNA to seal it. The code was passed down through my mother's bloodline. Cade looked at her, something stirring in his chest. You're braver than most adults I knew, she smiled. So are you. The moment was cut short as the drone beeped rapidly. Something's up ahead, Arya warned. Brace yourselves. A collapsed section of the tunnel came into view. Massive rubble blocked the rail path. Cade moved fast. Hold tight. He pulled the brake just in time. The cart screeched, metal screaming, and stopped inches from the collapse. They jumped out. Arya activated her scanner. This part of the tunnel is completely caved in. We'll have to go over the ridge on foot. Luma frowned. But that'll take hours. Better than dying underground, Cade said, helping Arya lift a broken rail door. They began climbing toward an emergency hatch. As Cade forced it open, sunlight poured through a cold blue light from Korvax's icy surface. Outside, the wind howled, but something else rose above the wind, a low rumbling. Cade stood still. That's not weather. Arya raised her binoculars. Her face turned pale. Dropships, she said. 3 of them. Coming straight for us. Cade glanced at the terrain wide open, no cover. We'll never outrun them. We don't have to, Luma whispered. She reached into her satchel and pulled out a silver device, small and humming softly. What is that? Arya asked. Luma's voice was steady. My mother said it was only for emergencies. It calls someone. Who? Cade asked. The last human ship, the one that never answered. Before they could react, she pressed it. A pulse of blue light shot into the sky. Far above, among the stars, something stirred. Far above planet Korvax, a black shape drifted in silence. No light, no life. It had orbited the system for centuries, forgotten like a tombstone among the stars. Then the signal came, one pulse. Blue, pure, human dot inside the vessel. Systems that had slept for generations flickered to life. Rusted panels hissed. Frozen cores warmed. A single message blinked across a cracked screen. Awakening protocol activated. Back on the surface, Cade, Arya, and Luma ran through the icy wasteland. The wind roared louder, dust and snow whipping their faces. Behind them, the 3 enemy dropships began to descend, metal beasts roaring down like predators. They saw the pulse. Arya shouted, We're out of time. Cade pulled Luma close as they ducked into a hidden ridge. His armor adjusted to the temperature, but even with the boost, he was starting to feel the burn in his legs. They'll land near the vault site, Arya warned. If we don't reach it first, we will, Cade said, gripping the hilt of his sword. Because I'm done running. From her pack, Arya pulled a thin black disc and emergency deployment pad. She slammed it into the ground. With a low hum, a metallic sled unfolded, hovering above the ice. "Ride it." "Fast and low," she ordered. "This ridge leads us to the outer ring of Fort Helix." They jumped on. The sled tore across the snow. Cade kept his blade ready. Luma held onto his side, her eyes wide but unafraid. Then up ahead they saw it, half buried. In the mountain, like a broken crown, was Fort Helix. Steel towers bent by time. Defense guns frozen in place. A giant arch, cracked but still standing, glowed with a faint blue shimmer. "That's it." Cade asked. Arya nodded. "Last surviving human vault." As they neared, something moved in the snow. Cade raised his sword. But Arya stopped him. "No, look again." The snow shifted. And stood. An enormous armored figure rose, covered in ice and roots. Humanoid, but not human, metal plating fused with stone. Glowing blue lines ran across its chest and face. Eyes like searchlights. "It's a Guardian construct," Arya whispered. "Built to defend the vault in case humanity ever returned." Cade stepped down from the sled. The Guardian stared at him. Then it spoke, its voice deep and echoing. "Human, identified, DNA match, Captain Kaiden Voss. Status, dormant. Protocol, restore command authority." Cade blinked. "It knows my name?" "You were ranked high in Earth's defense system," Arya said. "That armor isn't just decoration. It was command-grade tech." The Guardian knelt slowly before Cade. "Thousands of years of war machine. Boeing. Awaiting your command, Captain." Cade turned to Luma. "We're getting in." But before they could step forward, boom! The first dropship landed behind them. Snow flew into the air as alien soldiers poured out, armor black and shining. Eyes glowing red. Arya shouted, "We have to move now." Cade stood tall. "Guardian, defend the girl." The machine rose with a deep hum, drawing a giant blade. From its back, the ground cracked beneath its weight. The enemy opened fire. Energy bolts flashed through the storm. The Guardian took the hits, shield pulsing, then swung its massive blade, sending the first wave of troops flying. Cade rushed toward the vault gate. As they neared it, Luma's body began to glow, faint lights running through her skin like electricity. The arch lit up, biocode matched, entry granted. The massive doors began to grind open. Dust and ice fell from the old hinges. The path inside was dark, but warm. Before entering, Cade turned to Arya. "Once we're in, there's no turning back." "I never planned to," she said. Inside the vault, long halls lined with old Earth banners welcomed them. Weapons stored in walls, maps, screens, all flickering to life as Luma passed. They reached the central chamber. A giant core hovered at the center, cracked, but glowing. Luma stepped forward. "This is it, the system that controls the final weapon." "The pulse cannon, a planetary breaker," Arya whispered. "The kind that can erase entire fleets." "But it's broken," Luma said sadly. Cade stepped closer, placing his palm on the console. "Then we fix it. Or we use what's left to make a stand." Suddenly, the room dimmed. A voice echoed from the vault walls. "Warning, unauthorized signal detected. Tracking enemy beacon." Cade turned sharply. "What beacon?" "Arya's." Eyes widened. "They must have tagged us when the Reaver scanned Luma." The vault doors slammed shut with a deafening boom, echoing through the steel halls like a war drum. Red warning lights flashed across every surface. Cade spun, sword in hand, his back against Luma and Arya. The vault designed to protect had just become a prison. The deep voice returned, emotionless and cold. "Infiltration beacon confirmed. Internal breach imminent." Cade's eyes locked on Arya. "You said we were clear. You said we weren't tracked." Arya looked stunned. I didn't know. I thought we were safe." Luma backed away slowly, fear growing in her violet eyes. "What does it mean? What beacon?" A soft humming began around them, like machines waking up deep within the walls. Cade raised his sword again, breathing heavily. "Tell me the truth, now." Arya didn't speak at first. Her shoulders dropped. Her voice came out low and bitter. "They offered me a deal." Cade's grip tightened. "What kind of deal?" "Years ago," she said, looking down. "After I hid you, the Empire caught me. I was broken, starving. I thought I could fool them. I gave them something just enough to keep them away. I said you were dead. But I didn't know they planted a tracer in my blood." Cade blinked. "So when you hugged Luma, I passed it to her," Arya whispered. "Without knowing. A microscopic signal, hidden, sleeping. Until she entered this vault." Luma gasped. You gave me to them?" "No," Arya turned to her. "I would never. I thought I was keeping you safe. They told me you'd be invisible, that they'd never find you again if I agreed. I didn't know this would happen, I swear." Cade's voice was low, full of rage. "They used you. And now, we're locked in with a tracking beacon lit like a fire." Above them, the vault ceiling split open. A round shaft revealed itself leading up to the surface. But more alarming were the sounds from above grinding metal. Jet boots igniting. "They're sending machines down the shaft," Cade said. "We don't have much time." Arya stepped toward him. "Let me fix this." "You already did enough," Cade snapped. "I never meant to betray you," she said, tears in her eyes. "But I couldn't lose you again." He looked at her, sword still raised, but his hand slowly dropped. His face was full of anger, pain, and something else. "Understanding. You chose wrong," he said, "but you also chose me back then, when it mattered. So now you help us fix this, or we all die." She nodded firmly. "There's one way." She pulled out a tiny injector from her belt and handed it to Cade. "This is a signal disruptor. If we inject it directly into Luma's bloodstream, it'll burn the tracker out. But it will also scramble her DNA pattern. The vault may not recognize her afterward." Luma hesitated. "If the vault doesn't recognize me, we lose everything." Cade crouched beside her. "You've done more than anyone expected, Luma. You don't have to carry the burden anymore." The girl's eyes welled with tears. "No. I'm not quitting now. You woke up for a reason, didn't you? I'll finish what my mother started." She held out her arm. Cade looked at Arya. "Do it." Arya injected the disruptor. Luma cried out. Light pulsed through her veins, bright and wild. Her knees buckled, but Cade caught her. "It's done," Arya said. "The signal is gone, but the wall still shook. The machines above were still coming. Vault override compromised," the II voice warned. "Security collapsing. Auto defense reactivating in 90 seconds. Cade turned to the glowing core. "Is it still functional?" "Barely," Arya said. "But enough to trigger one last output." He nodded. "Then we use it." They connected the last surviving power cell to the vault's core. As energy flowed into the system, the console lit up. Cade typed in his old command code, one he barely remembered, but the vault accepted. Command recognized. One-time planetary strike mode. Ready. Arya stared at him. "Where do we fire?" Cade answered without hesitation. "At the drop zone. At the Empire's central command ship." Arya paused. "But what if they're not there yet?" "They're coming," he said, "and we won't get another shot." He pressed the final key. The vault hummed. Lights surged through the walls. Deep beneath the ground, the ancient cannon turned for the first time in centuries. Above, in orbit, the Empire's flagship moved into position. Unaware, Cade turned to Arya and Luma. "Get to the surface. Take the Guardian. You'll make it." "What about you?" Arya asked. "I'll stay and make sure this fires," Cade said. "It has to be triggered manually from here." "You'll die," she whispered. Cade smiled, tired but calm. I died 250 years ago. This is just finishing the mission. The shaft door above exploded open with a blast of heat and snow. Arya and Luma burst out onto the icy surface of Korvax, coughing and shivering. Behind them, the ground trembled like a living thing. Down below, deep inside the mountain, Captain Kaiden Voss stood in silence at the heart of Fort Helix. The cannon's core pulsed with energy. Its systems long dead glowed once more. Lights chased across the walls like a heartbeat, steady and powerful. For the first time in centuries, a human was back at the controls. Cade placed his hand on the final panel. Let's see what ghosts can still do, he muttered above the clouds. The Empire's flagship descended slowly toward the mountain, its wide hull blotting out the sky. Armored reavers poured from its bays, dozens of them, wings spread, flying straight toward the vault opening. They didn't see Arya and Luma racing across the snow, chased by the sound of their own fear, and they didn't know the cannon was awaken till it was too late. Back inside the vault, the countdown hit 5.4.3. The console lit up red. Manual override required. Confirm launch. Cade paused, then whispered, for every name they buried, fire. He slammed his hand down. From beneath the mountain, the ancient weapon roared. The ice cracked. The sky split. A white-blue beam of energy tore into the air, moving faster than sound, faster than thought. It struck the Empire's command ship with brutal precision. For a moment, the massive vessel held steady, then erupted in silence. A flash of light and debris. The reavers above stopped, mid-flight, confused, disconnected. Their command link shattered. Some spun out of the sky. Others hovered, blinking. No longer machines of war, just empty shells. Arya turned back as the blast's heat swept across the horizon. Cade, Luma shielded her eyes. Did he make it out? There was no answer. The mountain smoked. The cannon's light dimmed. Silence fell once more. Hours passed. In the wreckage of the battlefield, Arya stood beside the Guardian. Rebel ships had arrived, small transports carrying wounded fighters, survivors from the nearby colonies. Word of the human had spread like wildfire. Luma sat on the steps of the vault entrance, holding a tiny data crystal. He said I should give this to Earth. If it ever returned, she said quietly. Arya nodded. Then we make sure it does. The rebel fleet above sent out a broad-range signal, an open transmission to anyone listening. To the stars beyond. This is Korvax outpost. Humanity has returned. The sleeping soldier is awake no more. He has acted. And the galaxy has changed. But not all stories end in fire. Deep beneath the rubble, beneath stone and ice, something stirred. A faint mechanical hum. A spark in the dark. The emergency stasis system, damaged but still alive, had recognized Cade's vital signs dropping. It triggered an override. The pod opened. Cade gasped, coughing, blood on his lips but alive. A nearby drone floated near him, flickering. Status critical. Emergency revival successful. You are alive. Cade blinked up at the dark ceiling. His body screamed in pain. But he was breathing. Alive. Not a memory. Not a myth. 3 days later, the rebels stood gathered in the valley, hundreds of them now. Word had spread to 10 systems. Ships carried supplies. Engineers examined the vault. The sky above no longer held enemy ships, but hope. As Arya spoke to a group of rebel leaders, a soft tremor passed through the ground. She paused. Earthquake? Someone asked. No, she said, eyes narrowing. That was something else. From the vault doors, smoke rising, gears grinding, came the sound of boots. Metal. HEAVY. A silhouette appeared in the light. Tall. Armored. Scarred. Cade. Alive. Luma ran first. Arya followed. He dropped to one knee, arms open. Luma crashed into Koft. Him. I thought you were gone forever. Cade smiled weakly. Almost. Arya knelt beside him, Her voice shook. You're insane. He chuckled. It kept me alive. She looked at his face, dirt, bruises, exhaustion. But his eyes were clear. You're not a soldier anymore, she whispered. You're something more now. No, he said, rising slowly. I'm still a soldier. But this time, I fight. For more than survival. He turned to the gathered rebels. You believed in a story. A ghost. But I'm real. I'm here. And I'm not the only one. He reached into his damaged armor and pulled out the earth crystal Luma had saved. We send this to the stars, he said. We tell Earth, we're ready. Asterisk in the deepest corner of the galaxy, on a dark forgotten moon. A silent beacon blinked. A massive ship hidden beneath the surface lit up. Earth had heard the signal, and somewhere within it, an old voice whispered. Through the static, we're coming. Humanity had not been lost. It had been waiting.